Hey, did you guys know that Abraham Lincoln's our president right now? False! That's Barack Obama for all you weirdos living in the past. But today on Crash Course, oh wait, that's copyrighted. Today on the first Safe Course video, we are going to be living in the past, talking about Abe Lincoln, his presidency, his death, and his legacy. Some things that may have led to Abraham Lincoln's fame was his iconic beard, or maybe it was that he oversaw the only civil war in American history. He was also the first Republican and the first president ever to be assassinated. He also had epic debates with Stephen Douglas, and he had radically changing slave ideas. And he established Thanksgiving! Maybe what led to Abraham Lincoln's fame was his crazy cat obsessions, or maybe it was his violation of civil liberties, his Emancipation Proclamation, a builder of the Republican Party, or his short wrestling career. Abraham Lincoln was born Sunday, February 12, 1809 in a log cabin outside of Hodgenville, Kentucky. He was the son of Thomas and Nancy Lincoln. Thomas Lincoln was a carpenter and farmer. Both of Abraham's parents were members of a Baptist congregation which separated from another church due to opposition to slavery. In 1818, Abraham Lincoln's mother died of milk sickness. Thomas Lincoln remarried the next year and his new wife had 3 children. Lincoln had some of the highest schooling known to man. False! Abraham Lincoln had 12 months of schooling in his whole entire school career. He didn't even attend college, and he still became president of the United States. So kids, there still is some hope out there for those of you who think you're going nowhere. At age 23, with no real qualifications and little formal education, Abe Lincoln ran for his first place in Illinois' political office. He sadly failed that campaign, but 2 years later ran again and gained a seat as a member of the Whig Party. In 1856, he ran for a new seat in the Republican Party, which was newly formed. In 1858, he had his famous debates with Stephen Douglas, which led to his presidency in 1860. Fun fact, did you know Stephen Douglas almost married Abraham Lincoln's wife 20 years earlier? Abraham Lincoln served 2 terms as American president. During his presidency, he oversaw the Great American Civil War.
On April 14, 1865, John Wilkes Booth became the first person to assassinate an American president when he shot and killed Abraham Lincoln in his box at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. Using a .44 caliber pistol, which is exactly not this type of gun, Booth fired a single shot timed so that the audience laughter would mask the report. He's a pretty smart guy. Into Lincoln's brain at point-blank range before jumping onto the stage and escaping into the night. Here's a little about Booth before he goes off and dies on us. He was a famous actor, giving him full access to the Ford's Theater and was part of a group of conspirators that were out to kill government officials the night that our man Lincoln died. Or he was shot, I guess. John Wilkes Booth enjoyed a phenomenal, successful stage career during the Civil War. By 1864, he earned $20,000 a year at a time when an average Northerner family earned around $300 annually. So he was pretty far off.
To get a better perspective about Lincoln's assassination, here's a timeline starting from his second inaugural address. At Lincoln's second inaugural address, Booth claims it was the perfect chance to kill Lincoln, which he didn't, which makes no sense, because why not if it was a perfect chance? It wasn't actually until 41 days later on April 14th where Booth overheard a conversation while picking up his mail that Lincoln was supposed to be at the play that night at Ford's Theater. One could say that Booth's assassination attempt was very spontaneous. I mean, it was within hours until Booth was in Lincoln's box, shooting him in the back of the head. Though Booth shot Lincoln in the back of the head on April 14th, it wasn't actually until April 15th when Lincoln actually was pronounced dead. The following day was actually Easter, and many churches compared Lincoln's death to the death of Jesus nationwide. On April 17th, many tips given to the police led to the arrest of 5 conspirators. Many say that the time between when Booth heard that Lincoln was supposed to be at the theater to the time that he shot him, other conspirators were out to get other government officials during that night. On April 19th, they held Lincoln's funeral. On April 20th, a guy with a fancy named Absherim was arrested, who was one of Booth's main accomplices. Also on April 20th, it had been 5 days after Lincoln's death, and Harold and Booth were still at large, and an award of $100,000 out to capture them. Booth thought that assassinating Lincoln would make him a hero, but when he heard that the whole nation was grieving, he was so surprised, which, I mean, he murdered the president. Not everyone's gonna love you. It was until 12 days later on April 26th where they found Harold and Booth hiding in a farm in Virginia. At that farm, Harold surrendered and Booth was shot in the neck. On May 12th, 8 conspirators stood trial, 4 were found guilty and 4 were sentenced to prison. On June 7th, the 4 that were found guilty were executed, which included Mary Stuart, Lewis Powell, David Harold, and George Absaroff, which still a really fancy name, which I'm hoping I'm saying it right. Many other conspirators were caught later on, but Lincoln will be always known as a man that invented the full Nelson, or, I mean, held the Union together. Thanksgiving! She's like just.
Yeah.
Booyah!
No, that wasn't.
Night. Wilkes. Okay, fell off.
Well off.
That's a great way to how do they usually sit at it? Just like this?
I don't know. You can act like you were like typing. Like have it. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Some things that may have led to is.
Can I do one?
I came in, I was like, oh.
Okay.